Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Today is February 6th, 2024. People are still showing up right now. I want to thank everybody for taking the time out to first RSVP and to be here. We have an international audience today. We have people from all over the world, literally. I want to acknowledge a few people as we get started. But right now, people are still showing up. So I'm going to give them about a minute or two to show up. Manu, how are you? Alex, haven't seen you in a while. Great to see you soon, Manu. It was great meeting you the other day. I'm looking forward to going over some things for you today. I know we have quite a few people joining from the West Valley Chamber of Commerce as well as the Greater San Fernando Valley Chamber of Commerce. In the future, we'll be having some LA Chamber of Commerce members joining. But today we're going to be working primarily local, but as I mentioned, we do have an international audience. Give another minute for people to show up. I do want to acknowledge some people that we have coming in out of Toronto. We have, I want to say Rock, pretty sure it's Roke, out of Toronto, Canada. We got Jorge out of Barcelona, Claudia out of Peru. Hello, Claudia. Maria out of Bogota. We got some folks out of New York and Florida. My cousins out of Florida. Yolanda, and then we have Tim out of New York, BET. I've also got my cat outside the door trying to get in, but I'm not going to let him in today. If you can hear him, apologize. We also got Aurora. Aurora is a insurance broker that I am working with currently. She's joining us today. She's also a West Valley Chamber member. We also have Manu, as I mentioned. Manu, I met at the West Valley Chamber meeting last week. I'm really excited to go over her walkabout business and how ChatGPT can work for her. We went over some of those things during our meeting in person, but we're going to go over some of them today as well. In the audience today, we do have quite a range of professionals. I had to write these things down to make sure I got them right. We got some sports analysts, some data professionals from all over the data spectrum, which is really impressive because we have some that are creating data, some that are analyzing data. It's quite a range. Some insurance brokers, as I already mentioned, some C-suite individuals, CEOs, CFOs, COOs joining us today, some administrators, very important office managers, some HR professionals. Hey, Aurora, see you there. Good morning. We've also got some strategists here. I want to say Maria is a strategist. So I'm sure as people are using a ChatGPT to figure out how to make moves and understand where they're going is super important. Also got some design professionals, specifically some folks from Burn, a helmet company that I used to work with when I was a cyclist. I want to say pro, not pro, semi-pro, kind of pro, almost pro, pro-ish. cyclists burn helmets. They'll be with us today. We've got some lawyers, as I mentioned, various types of lawyers. So specifically, I have Yolanda out of Florida, who is also a lobbyist. So she's joining us today. You got some educators. Manu, I'll put her down as an educator, but we also got a couple of other educators who are putting together curriculum for their students and clients. Some stakeholders, which is really important because a lot of stakeholders are trying to figure out how to implement ChatGPT into their businesses. How can they get more out of it? And that's a great question, especially with so many businesses who are adopting it and spending billions upon billions. You have to ask yourself, how can I apply that into my business? How can I apply that into my world? So stakeholders are being here, super important, and I appreciate you being here. We've got some marketing professionals. And if you're in business, you're pretty much, everybody's in marketing and or sales at some point. You're trying to sell what you have and get people to come and do business with you. So we're all in marketing somehow, even if it's just an email. We're all in marketing. So we have some marketing professionals, and lastly, but not least, as I mentioned, some outdoor, specifically Manu professional. So although she's an entrepreneur, we also have, she's very much outdoors. So we're going to go into her project in a moment. So getting right into it. Today is, we should be having everybody here. It's about 10:04. Today we are, as I mentioned, we're going to be discussing ChatGPT and its business proposed value. And so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go over several different case studies, 6 specifically, but we're going to, right now, I want to tell you a little bit about who I am. For those of you who don't already know me, some of you know me in the past from being a cybersecurity professional, a Toastmaster, a speaker, a teacher, a mentor. But for the past year, I've been working with ChatGPT pretty much since February 2nd of last year. A friend of mine contacted me, gave me an example of how he was using it, and I was completely blown away. Good morning, Manu. And I immediately took to it, and I actually wrote a book. We're not going to go into the book right now, but that was one of the first things I did was I went ahead and began to write a book just to support a different business that I was about to get into, and then just kept going down the rabbit hole, which was a wonderful place to be because I've learned so much over the years. I mean, over the year, brand new. And in that time, I've actually been working with existing clients and new people. And to tell you the truth, I try to share the message with everybody I know because it not only will impact and have a positive impact on your business, but on a personal level as well. I've used it personally as a personal coach, a business coach, to help get me through different situations and figure out what to do and make my next move. So developing my strategies, learning a lot, it's been unbelievable. So I'm always excited to share as much as I can with whoever will listen about ChatGPT and the other different AI tools that do exist. As I said before, I've been in business for, whenever I do the math on it, it gets, obviously it gets more and more, but it's been about 30 years. I will be 52 in a little over a month. And so I've been in business pretty much since I was like 19, 20. And so I've been mostly doing IT, but I've done lots of different consulting over the years. I've produced television shows. I've done emceeing and live events, but I've also worked with many, many businesses and helping them through their either marketing, applying the technology to their business. As an IT professional, I've always had to understand what my clients are doing to best be able to support them. So I've never had a business where we just came in and fixed things. It was always about business solutions, always about how we can impact our clients in a positive way and give them a return on their investment in us. So I've always been working with clients from across the spectrum: food processing, marketing, lawyers, production companies. I'm I've been constantly surprised at the environments that I would find myself in and the conversations I would have. And so I was able always to apply knowledge from one conversation and bring it to another. And so that's what I'm going to be doing largely today and anything I ever do. I've also been a mentor for years as well. There's a few people who are joining us here today who I've been mentoring. Aurora is one of them. John Martin, who's a designer. There's a few other folks here that I work with, whether it be on a business level, marketing, developing ideas, and or taking it into ChatGPT and showing them how to use ChatGPT for their business. Aurora is one of those people that I work with right now. I met through the chamber. And when we first spoke, she was telling me she's an insurance broker. She wants to sell certain products to certain audiences. She needed to figure out how to do that. And since then, getting her narrowed in, got her ChatGPT profile set up. Now she's in the process of actually learning and applying what we're going through. And now we meet every week to kind of get her going, build on the skills that she's learned the week before and what she's been doing to take her to the next level. So I'm really excited about working with her, as well as Green Fruit Avocados. They're one of my previously they were an IT and cyber risk client, but since July, we've been working with them on an AI and ChatGPT adoption. And so for them very specifically, we've done some things for quality control, where we're using ChatGPT to take images of products and see the quality of them, working with the CFO for data analytics, developing policies and procedures, all kinds of great things, which we'll go into a little bit later on. But I've been working with clients and individuals and businesses for years, but specifically for the last year, I've got about 10 businesses and individuals that I've been working with specifically with ChatGPT. Even helped a couple guys write books and develop scripts that they have been sitting on for years by being able to take that into ChatGPT, take what they have and have it become part of their voice and get them to the next level. As you can tell, I love to teach. I love education. I love learning. And as I learn things, I immediately want to share things of value with those around me, especially if it can help those around me. I love to share. And so that's why we're doing this. And that's why this free event today is about showing you guys just what can be done with ChatGPT and have a positive impact on your business. And lastly, I hope you guys enjoy this, because I spent a good amount of time looking at who is signing up and knowing what I wanted to cover. I get so excited. I want to put so much into it, but I got to limit it. I know people are busy. And so with that being said, we get right into it. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to go over 6 business cases for ChatGPT in the workplace. I'm going to show 6 different scenarios, and I'll pick 1 or 2 examples to go into, but we will discuss them, and so you kind of have an understanding of how it can be done in different diverse environments. If you have any questions, you can either, thank you, Amanda, you can either send questions directly to the chat, you can send them to an email. I'll also have some information at the end on how you can communicate with me. So the first scenario is that of an office manager. And now, office managers, administrators, assistants, anybody who works in an office generally will have these types of issues, whether they're reviewing and summarizing legal contracts. You get things from vendors who you're about to do business with. There are research and procurement needs. There's emails, internal communications. You need to figure out how do we get everybody to do something. You may have to convey a policy that we're now going to no longer show up late, but how do you say that properly? There's also policy enforcements. Again, it could be how do you request time off? Sometimes office managers, matter of fact, most of the time office managers specifically in a startup, they get everything that's left over. If you've ever worked in hey David, have you ever worked in an office and you've ever been an office manager, worked alongside an office manager, which I have many a times, they get the overflow. So if the person doesn't already exist, if it's money, they would typically go to the CFO, but a lot of times they don't even have a CFO yet. And so that office manager is required to know a lot and get a lot done for the company. So what I want to do right now is I want to show how one would actually use ChatGPT as an office manager to get some work done. And so one of the things I've done is I've got some notes here on, I'm going to show you guys what an office manager would do. So I'm assuming that everyone here has already got ChatGPT, has already used it, and is already familiar with the environment. And so what I've done is I've collected a few documents on my side, and what I'm going to do is show so many things that an office manager would come into. So one of them might be, say you have equipment, and you're trying to figure out, how do you work this? I can't tell you how many times when we were doing IT, the office manager would call us in, and they would call us in because they've been maxed out. And so what we'll do is I'll have ChatGPT saying, I am, and now normally I would put this into the profile, so I wouldn't have to type this in. We can get to that another time, but right now I'm going to type this in. I'm an office manager. Actually, I don't even really need to put this in for this particular task. I need to figure out what this is. So what I have here is a phone system. We have a conference phone that I'm going to have to figure out. What it is a Polycom Trio 8500. I'm going to show you right now how somebody would want to figure out how to get the instructions or even understand what this is. So upload the manual here to the phone. And I'm going to say, I need to know what this is. So I just open the box. I need to figure out how to use it. So what ChatGPT is doing right now is actually reading the instruction manual that came with this. Oh, this is a conference phone. And now it understands what it is. So if I wanted to understand how to use it, what it's capable of, I can now ask questions about that. Okay, yes, I would like to know, yes, is it wireless? And so what it is able to do now is, instead of having to go to the IT department or go Google searching, by having the document, I can now search for it and get answers on what to do with it. How many connections, whatever I need to know about it, I can now upload the PDF to it and now get some insights about it. Another quick example I want to do is, say you are responsible for developing policies and procedures or just maintaining them for the office. That's a lot of times what they're responsible for doing. As a matter of fact, we've been called in to create policies and procedures for our clients. One of them was a financial company that did collections, and they fell under ISO 27001. So they needed policies and procedures, and the office manager was responsible for that. So I need to review our policies and see what needs to be updated. So what I have here, policies that we created back in 2016. And we're going to see based on ISO standards 27001, which is the compliance they fell under. Let's see, I had a problem uploading it. Let's try one more time. A lot of times with working with ChatGPT, sometimes they don't work right, but you gotta try it again. PDFs, all kinds of documents it can typically read. Looks like it has uploaded successfully this time. And let's see here. We are well, no, it should actually be able to tell who we are. I'm just going to give it a chance to take a look at it. Read the document. You see it's reading it right now. And so what it's doing is it's looking at the policies that were created for the office. They had all types of needs, like not having cell phones out and so forth. What this will do now, this is an 80-page document. If this person just came on, they would have to take a day or two to read this, or even just pull it out of nowhere and say, okay, someone told me to find out if we're updated with this. So now what I would do is take this, upload it to ChatGPT and say, this is a lot. I need specific assistance in identifying policies based on the standards. Yes. And then what it will do is then it will begin to ask me a series of questions to figure out how we can approach updating our policies. And again, the office manager does not have any idea what is actually needed. But by having ChatGPT look at what's been done, knowing what needs to be done, and in our specific environment, in that particular environment, they did have control of the environment. They had to control access to the documents, to the rooms. All of this needs to be done. So what this will allow the office manager to do is say, you know what, I need to go into the access control, as I just mentioned. And so, again, not knowing what that actually means, now she's able to, not she, the office manager is now able to get an understanding, what does access control mean, and to actually dive into that. Now, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but what this does is it takes an office manager who's not in the compliance, not in the IT, don't even really understand what ISO 27001 is, but the job is to manage it for the office. And so having ChatGPT to look into it, you can upload almost any document, Manu. This was specifically the policies that we have done for them that was in a PDF. You can upload Excel, graphics, PDFs, text documents. You can even put the information directly into the chat box right there without loading it directly into the PDF. The PDF makes it easier because if you put too much in the chat box, it won't even read it all. But putting into a document, that was 87 pages, and it was able to read it. So whether it's a contract or anything like that, you can upload the contract and then ask questions about the contract. Does it allow this? Can I do this? What are the penalties? Without having to read it all, you can go through and verify it, but we'll actually read it for you and translate it for you. All right, moving on. Next is the CFO for an avocado grower, like I mentioned before. Green Fruit Avocados is one of our clients. And one of the things that we were going over recently was how to, they were considering going into a new market where they would figure out what to do with their avocados and new ideas of how they can expand. So here I'm going to put in, we are Green Fruit Avocados. Now this is important. So what you can do is, by having their website, I'm going to upload the website. I'm going to copy the website, and I'm going to say, looking at our website, give me some options on what we can do outside of importing. Oh, that didn't take right. Forgive me, folks. Okay, here. We want to offer more products. What can you recommend? And so what this does is it's going to look at the website or the current offerings and then make some recommendations. I'm going to have it kind of brainstorm ideas. So, avocado-based products, health wellness products. We went through this in the office. It was really incredible. Take a look at this here. Now, again, as a CFO looking for new ways to expand the business, what can we do thinking outside the box, but don't really have any ideas? One of them, let's just say health and wellness products. I mean, that seems like a great idea. I don't even know what you can do, but let's find out. And so what this would allow the CFO to do is say, if we're looking at ways to expand, maybe it's in new areas, it could be new types of products. Maybe we have excess. Maybe we have things that are not being sold because they're not perfect. Whatever that may be, you can now figure out things you can do with them. So here we have a few different suggestions based on health and wellness products of avocados that they can look into going into. Avocado oil capsules, which is something I know is a new thing and very important. You see here a lot of different options. Now, let's just say avocado energy bars. Never even heard of that. Have you ever heard of that? Oh, Aurora, trust me, you'll be glad that you're not doing that anymore because you're going to have these new tools and you're going to be much more empowered, I believe. So, as I just said, tell me more about the avocado bars. So now what it's doing is it's actually giving the team an idea of what they would do, kind of what it would take, maybe even how to make some. But what this does is it goes from, hey guys, just shooting ideas around, to now we can actually begin to consider this one specific product and even go deeper into it, finding partners, finding what it would take. You see, it's still going, it's still doing its job. And so, again, whatever the idea it may be, if you're trying to look into researching it, and then here, the way I've got ChatGPT set up is designed to kind of continue to keep you going and nurture you. That's something that we do for our clients. Aurora, you have this in your profile. So does Donald. So if you other people, what this synapse does is it really keeps you working towards your goal and not just giving you the answer and then sitting back and waiting for you. So it's about getting to that next step. And so as you can see here, what can we do with avocados? Okay, there's health and wellness products. Health and wellness products. Okay, there's a bar. All right, tell you more about that bar. And then bam, here you go. You have information on a bar. So that's just one product idea and way that you can use it to kind of get up to speed and continue down any one of those rabbit holes. Again, we're going to do other events where we will go further down the individual rabbit holes for the different types of positions. CFOs, marketing professionals, sales professionals, administrator. But today, I just want to kind of do a surface level to kind of give you guys an idea of the potential options. The next one would be, forgive me, the next scenario is Manu. There you go. So I've been looking forward to doing this. So Manu has forgive me, gardeners are here. Didn't think they'd be here on a rainy day, but they are. So Manu has a business that is she's from Australia. I believe it's Australia. And she has a walkabout business. I love this idea about taking not just kids, but adults and groups, could be corporate groups, out into this property that she has. And she sends them out on walkabouts. She gives them survival skills and so forth. And so for someone like that, it's one, like most entrepreneurs, you do what you do. And you're like, okay, it is a synthetic consultant. You're right, Alex. So when you want to create these things, you can say, all right, I do this, but there's so much more to consider, especially when you're in the US and come from someplace else. New rules, new compliances, everything must be met and dealt with right. And if you don't do it right, then you'll be out of business. And so understanding that and being able to find different solutions for someone who is running an outback like this, lots of things you have to go through: grant writing, grant research, website marketing. As she builds her website, again, she's a very outdoorsy person. And then I have to come in and sit at the computer, create websites and content. By default, you just want to say, come on now, it's going to be fun and it's good for you. That doesn't always go over well. So you got to figure out a way to get that message across. So creating website content, emergency preparedness. She has people out there to be able to say, you know what, I got to put together a booklet for how would I treat a broken arm, a twisted ankle, or a tree falling, from all these different things. ChatGPT can help with, as well as curriculum design. So as she has her environments, now she can say, all right, so this is what I have. This is who's coming. How can I put together a curriculum that will accomplish this particular goal? So when they leave, they have this particular memory or they've learned this particular lesson. Especially working with children, like you said, Manu, because when you're creating your curriculum, you can create your curriculum for your specific audience. So with that being said, I'm going to go on over here and begin to have a concept. So what I've done for Manu, I've actually gone ahead and gotten some information for her. And forgive me here. Okay, so what I did was I went to Manu's profile on LinkedIn and I copied it and I said that way that gives me a start. This is how I would work with a client if I am going to understand what they do. This is one of the things that I'll do is go to their LinkedIn profile as well as their website, and I'll get an understanding of what they do. So here I've got the website and her contents of her profile. So I'm going to say here, I am working with Manu here, and I want to help her develop some business ideas. Another thing about ChatGPT, which I'm not using right now because I am specifically on a webinar and it wouldn't work, is you can use a microphone. So you can dictate to ChatGPT quite a few ways, but I could actually speak and have this collected and then spit up to ChatGPT. So that's another good thing to do. So I want to help her develop some business ideas. Here is her LinkedIn profile. Again, I went ahead and copied this over. Oh, that's not it. And here's her website. So what I also did was by grabbing her website, that allows ChatGPT to actually also go in, oops, forgive me there, put this back over here, and look into her website. So where did the website go? Give me a second, folks. I think I accidentally deleted it, but it is right here, and I'm going to bring it up right now. So, as I said, Manu has a camp called Camp Manu. Brainstorm. So what I've just done right now is I've told ChatGPT to look at her website. While looking at her website and her profile, also to look at her experience, which I also collected, her website, and then give me ideas. And I asked for it in the table format so that it's easy for me to read instead of, the other ways are easy as well, but this is one of the ways that I like to see things presented. I can also have this exported into an Excel spreadsheet, or even a PDF, or even a Word document. We'll go into those kind of things in a different video, but that is the kind of thing that I can do with this information. So again, it's gone through her website, it's gone through her activities, and now it knows a bit about her. And it's suggesting the workshops, the retreats, camps. She's been on television, so taking that from her LinkedIn profile, I've been able to pull that instantly. And if you realize what I'm also doing in the moment right now, folks, is as I'm putting these things in, it's giving me this information right away. So even though I've gone through and I've collected some of this data, it's analyzing this immediately for me and giving me this information right away. So let's see if I can expand this. There we go. Off-grid living workshops are fantastic. Now let's see here. How about some policies and procedures for visitors? So you don't have to worry about the spelling because it's forgiving. So I just kind of just took it left, right, but left. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just trying to give you guys many examples really quickly and show you how you can kind of almost be ADD about it. And normally, all these things I'm doing, I would open up new conversations like I'm doing for each scenario, but I would open up a new conversation even for each one of these, so that if you look here on the left here, I can go back and I can see my conversations and go back to them, keep them separate. And as many times I'll have a conversation that's like weeks ago, and I'll bring that back up because I want to go back to where I was at in that. But you see here, this is just understanding the website, what she does, and without having any specifics from her yet, it's generating the first version. Now let's just say an inspector was on their way. and you're like, I got to put together some policies and procedures. Ah, bam. First version. It's not going to be perfect, and it's definitely not going to be absolutely everything until you go through and tweak it. Now, one of the key things that I didn't plan to go too deep into in tips, but something that everybody who uses ChatGPT, you got to know. I don't care what it says. And I've accepted everything I've shown you guys earlier because I was trying to be quick. Whenever I get a response, and you see here, this is very good. Visitor conduct, how to be there. I'm gonna do one more. I'm gonna say, let's make this more family oriented, and add a bit of, no, let's make it more family oriented. See what it says. I was gonna say make it funny, but we really got time for that. While this is building this, so I'm looking at the, I see your question while this is responding. Have clients come across errors and mistakes that they missed? Does it ever misunderstand the meaning of words is asked to respond to? And you know what, Alex, that's a great question. So when it does that, and sometimes context can be wrong and it may not understand exactly what you're saying. And that's when and when I do a workshop on communicating with it, that is when you have to like pick it back up and put it back on track. So you say, no, not this, like this, and you give it examples so that it understands what you are actually looking for. It needs to understand where your end goal is. It will start assuming that it understands and will present to you, but it will also listen to you and correct itself and go left versus right or down the center, whatever you say, based on your engagements with it. So yes, it can make mistakes or it can misunderstand, misinterpret, but it can also come back, be brought back. So as you can see here, as I've been talking, for those of you who don't have ChatGPT Plus, this is one of the main reasons I say get it is because of the ability to produce a longer output. You see, this is very long. And I say long because of GPT 3.5, it would be quicker, but it wouldn't be nearly as in depth. But now I'm gonna give you guys that tip that I was talking about. So right now, this is fantastic. Children, family is all about family tone. And so if you want to do, I can switch this up and say if I'm going to have a company retreat, I can say make it very adult and very matter of fact. So again, this allows her to create content for the different audiences that are coming through. Now, this is policies and procedures. And we did activities. Did we do activities already? Yeah, we did activities. So, but this is a tip I want to show you guys. So this is a great output, right? You see this little regenerate down here? That little recycle button is the hidden secret that does not get talked about enough when people reference ChatGPT. By clicking on this, oops. What that does is something like what I learned from an old boss of mine. And it was a way to make sure that you were doing your best, right? And so I would come to him and say, okay, here's the project. And before looking at it, he would say, is that the best you can do? And I would immediately be like, wait a minute, what? I could have probably done a little bit better if I had a little more time or if I took a little more thought. But it puts you like on your heels. And if I were to say, I could do a little more, he'd say, go ahead and do that, bring it back. I'm like, all right, cool, come back. But in that moment, it gave me the mindset of looking at what I've done and saying, can it be better? What Regenerate does is it's the same thing when you go to ChatGPT, you say, come on now, that's the best you can do. And I promise you, the second response is almost always, I'm gonna say it's always better. There's been a couple times out of 100 that I've gone back to the first one, was like, you know what, I kind of like that one better. But the second one is almost always better. So again, you see here, it's going to take the same kind of a message because I'm only telling it to do it again, but just do it better. You see it lays it out a little bit differently. And just to compare, this is the first version. And I'll go ahead and I'll share this. I'll put that into the chat so you also have it there, Manu. Um, but you see here, the first version is not bad, but I always like to do the second version. So that's just one area. I'm gonna do really quickly. So, all right, I wasn't gonna do this, but I'm gonna do it. So one of the things that ChatGPT offers is something that's called GPTs, right? And while I was preparing for this, there's a few different scenarios that can require the same thing. So that's how I'm gonna kind of go into it right now. Really quickly, GPTs are essentially like little mini bots that can do things that are very specific. And in the GPT store is where you can find these different GPTs. And this is something that Manu and even Office Manager, business owner, everybody can benefit from. But specifically right now, what I'm going to look for are grant writing guru. Okay, so here we go. First of all, I'm going to find something that can find grants and then apply for those grants. When you do a search on the GPTs, you sort of start with what I just did. Grant. I can put grant writing, grant explorer. You see down here, there's different ones. As you look at them, you'll see to the right of the little speak bubble, you want to call it, it shows how many times people have added this to the left here. As you see mine over here on the left, I have the PPC, which is pay-per-click, support, project management, negotiator, video maker from video, awesome tool, ClickUp, which I use for project management, diagrams, PowerPoints, QR code creators, which you'll see a little bit later, Canva. There's different types of GPTs that you can use. But for this one, I'm going to say, bring me up to grant writing guru, because grant writing is necessary. And for someone like Manu, or again, many other businesses, we'll get into a little bit later, a Chamber of Commerce, grant writing is important. So I am going to say, I have a walkabout business. Nope, not there anymore. Where is that? There it is. Here we go. Copy that link again that I still have. And I want to so this right now is putting the heavy lifting on a ChatGPT to sort of really start from the beginning and figure out the pathway to the solution, even help me figuring out the solution. And this is a little bit of a mind shift that everyone who approaches ChatGPT needs to understand. When you're talking to any AI, but ChatGPT specifically, you have got to communicate and be very clear. And you got to have a different mindset when approaching challenges in almost everything, to be quite honest with you, because the analogy that I give people is your whole life, you've been able to lift 100 pounds. Okay. That's your max. So anything that's 105 pounds, you're like, nah, I don't even touch those kind of things because it's too heavy for me. Well, and then all of a sudden I'll come to you and say, hey, here's an ectoskeleton that's going to go on your back and it's going to attach to your arms, sort of like Iron Man does. And now you're going to be able to lift 1,000 pounds. And so what that's going to do is going to require you to think differently. Because before this moment, you've never considered anything over 100 pounds. But now you can lift all kinds of things and move things. And so at first you're like, woo, I can lift a rock. But then you start to realize, so wait a minute, I can lift this, I can move that, I can break that, I can build that. And all of a sudden you have a new life. Well, that's kind of how it is with ChatGPT. When I say put the heavy lifting on ChatGPT to figure things out, that is because the intelligence of the AI and ChatGPT 4 specifically is its ability to really process an idea and do much more than you can, much faster than you can to get you to where you want to be. It can't do it for you, but it can get you there. And so by having a different mindset when approaching all of your challenges is at its key fundamental to getting maximum return on your time investment into ChatGPT. And so with that being said, by going here and saying, all right, so I need to find grants. I put the website, instead of saying I want to find grants for a very specific thing, it will take me to that thing. But by backing up and saying, hey, this is me, I want to find grants, what are my options? I can even go back and say, what are my funding options? And say, figure that out. But right now I said just grant writing options or grant options that I can potentially fall into, and then I can have it find them and then apply for them. So let's see here. So right now we got health and wellness grants, types of grants here. Let's find number 2. And now you can type this in any way. You can just put multiples if you want. For the sake of the example, I'm gonna try to keep it quick because I can go on until I get it, what I need. But here we go. So what it's doing right now is with this particular GPT, let me see if it goes back up to the top where it explains it. Doesn't explain it here, but basically when you first launch it, it explains what the GPT does and why it's special. But as you can see here, yes, Alex, you will have the recording, it will be available. So you see here, it's talking about, I asked for grants that would be for sustainable tourism grants here. And what it's doing is showing research relevant, networking, how to network and collaborate to get them, to prepare for the proposal, and resources, workshops, seminars. So I'm saying, let's search for some. I'm just going to start with that. Let's find some grants. So another thing about GPT-4 Plus is that it has the ability to search the web. Very important. Before now, or before this ability came about, you'd have to go to like Bing or Bard to get data right here, right now. But what this will do now is in ChatGPT, within your conversation, you can say, oh, all right, well, let's go find some grants. And so as you'll see here, it's going to find some very specific ones, and these little quotation marks at the end are showing you the link to it. Now I could have this output into me in an Excel format, as I explained earlier about the table format. So all kinds of ways I can work with this, but right now it's found me 3 of them, and I'm going to go with the first one. Let's see, Regenerative Catalyst Program 2024. And by the way, I can open this in a new tab. The Ocean Foundation Regenerative Tourism Catalyst Grant Program. Let's see what this says. While that's loading. So right now, it's going to look at it some more, tell me some more about it. Apparently, their website is taking a while. Could be because I'm live right now. Things slow down a little bit. But ChatGPT does not. So right now it's saying, okay, understand the program's goals and eligibility, check eligibility, prepare the proposal, and it's taking through the whole process. And now with this, once we get it to, oh, there we go. All right, so here's the PDF, right? This is fantastic. So now I've downloaded this PDF here and it explains it all. I'm not going to try to read this. I mean, I could, don't get me wrong, but for the sake of time, I am going to download. Yeah, see. And I'm going to put you into Camp Manu over here. Bam. And now I'm going to say, Let's see if we can figure that out. Now, let it go. All right, so let's see here. Where are we at? Manu. Where'd you go, Manu? Dun, 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 dun. Manu. Uploading. So you see how quickly this allows you to work through a thought and just go from ideation to, all right, let me see how far I can take this. I mean, in theory, no, not even in theory, you can research multiple grants in a day and apply. So here we go. So it's read that document. Again, I could have it read all this instantly. So it's not a lot, but when you're trying to apply for multiple things at one time, you may also want to put here, take that. And let me see, I'm gonna go back and say, so what I just did right now is something that's important that I do quite a bit. So when I want to have it revisit a request, maybe I want to add to it. So I say I forgot to put something in it that I want the response to include, like this here. Sure, I uploaded the PDF. I'm like, you know what? I actually want to include the content of the website. So I've copied it, pasting it all there. See, that's the entire contents of the website. I just did a Control A, Control C. And now, with that information, now it's going to be even more informed. So this is the learning that it can do because I'm actually teaching it or giving it the information that I want a response to. So again, Alex was asking earlier, does it get things wrong? Well, it can be taking things out of context, but if you give it the context, it can then do what it needs to. Okay, let's see here. What do we ask? Let's create a because isn't that what you want to know? What do I need to do about this thing? It's great that you got it, but now what? And so as you see here, these are the kinds of moments that can be like, I don't know the answer, and you'd want to stop or just not do it or hire someone else to do it. Now you can take this, work through it yourself, and do whatever is needed. And we'll go into another time about how to do all of these different things. But you see here, it helps get you prepared to make this happen. I'll copy this for you too as well. Again, the whole thing will be available, but I'm going to share this into the chat right now. And I'm going to move on. Next scenario is the general manager at a security guard company. Same kind of a scenario for Manu, where there will be different types of requests that the general manager is going to have to deal with on a daily basis. And that could be contract bidding strategies. How do you apply for, it could be a school, it could be a mall, it could be anything. How would you apply for that? If it's new, you may not already have that knowledge. Say you've been normally dealing with schools, and now you want a retail opportunity has come up. How do you deal with that? You've been talking, keeping kids safe and all this for years, but now you want to speak to this new opportunity. Could be policy development. Okay, you got a new contract. You have to set the rules and procedures for your team. You want to have that gel with the client, have them approve it, and then actually give it to your team. ChatGPT can create those, especially when you can say, I need policies and procedures for a specific example. And so I'm going to go into that right now and show how you would do just that. So let's see, let's open up a new chat. And we are a security let's say on a contract for a what should we prepare for presenting? Keep it broad. So what this is going to do is kind of lay it out. And this is where it's important when you're developing a strategy or plan for something that you haven't done before that is new. You got to know how to figure it out and how to learn how to get there and how to approach it. Talking to a school versus an office building versus a retail environment versus a live event. These are all going to be different, but you want to be able to apply and not miss any opportunities, or at least explore the opportunity and see if it's even worth it. So one of the things you would do is a SWOT, which we'll get into a little bit later. But we're going to wrap this up shortly. But because there's so much to go into, I can't go into too much. But as you can see here, these are the kind of things you would consider if you haven't done it before to have that leadership. And so you're like, okay, you understand requirements, specific solutions. What kinds of solutions would be needed for a high with 2,500 kids? And so now I'm doing, this is another important part of using ChatGPT, and that's context. Conversation we'll go into later. But as I say, okay, I'm giving it some specifics. I could go into the high school. I could even begin to get statistics about the area and crime reports and the history, upload all that, and then say, all right, these are what's been going on there. What could I recommend? And so once again, as you find those different data sources and you put them into your conversation, you're now making the conversation that much more intelligent and absolutely applicable. Versus right now, I'm being very generic by design because I don't have enough time to go into each one of these all right now. But surface level, you can get an idea of any one of them. And so here, you see here, I'm like, all right, so what would we even just talk about? Just on the surface level, hey guys, I heard there's a high school in the next room and they want to talk security. Okay. You can do this on your phone, by the way, through the ChatGPT app. All right, access control, surveillance cameras, visitor management, communication, perimeter security. These are all valid things that when you've been guarding, say, a retail store, you don't have these mental health and behavioral support, lockdown capabilities. This is not challenges that you have to deal with. But now, as you go into this new realm, this new opportunity, where before you might say, nah, I don't know anything about how to guard a school. So we're not even going to consider that opportunity. Now you can. And I could even say, what kind of because I want to know what kind of licenses, what kind of people they need. Again, I've been doing retail this whole time, so I need qualifications. Do I need background checks? I don't even know. But this is where I'd be able to find out. again, without even having a specific school, this is where it allows me to kind of get up to speed. I could be sitting in the parking lot outside of the meeting, and within minutes, I can walk in there, and now I understand that I am no longer uh, oblivious to what it takes to defend a school. I can now come in, oh yeah, so we got to talk about these things. We got to cover these things. We got to cover these things. I could even go as far as having it develop questions that I would ask, potential rejection, uh, yeah, potential rejections, objections, and how I respond to them. You see right here, it's breaking it all down. And so I went from 10 minutes ago knowing nothing about what it took to go to high school, and now we all kind of know what it takes to go to high school. So again, this is just having a conversation. I was going to go into responding to quotes or RFQs, understanding what clients need. I do have a bunch of those. It would take a little too much time, so that's why I'm not going to go into them right now. But you get an idea of how you can approach a new thought and get information on it, and within 5-10 minutes, I'm not gonna say you're an expert, but you're totally not ignorant anymore, and that's super powerful. All right, last one we are going to discuss. Actually, I'm gonna rush it because we have two more, but I'm gonna rush this one. Sales directors. So I was working with a sales manager, and we were going over ideas on how he would motivate the team. So they're constantly on the phone all day, every day. Well, he was telling me that there's things called they got to optimize their scripts, monitor the calls. You got to have KPIs that you have to use to monitor those calls and say, all right, what does this mean? You can also take audio recordings and take the transcripts of those, put those in the ChatGPT, and look at how the conversation went, and say, at what point did our caller, what point did our salesperson lose the caller? Did he address did he address their needs? Were there questions that were asked that were not responded to? Again, you take the transcripts of the calls, put that in ChatGPT, and look at the whole conversation and answer those questions. Even you can ask questions. It could be this call. Was this asked? Was this answered? Things like that. Get the notes from the call. Super powerful. Another one is sales strategy development. So again, don't worry, Manu. This will be available for you to check out. We went through yours, so do what you got to do. It's going a little bit over, so if anybody has to leave, I won't take it personal. This recording will be available, but the information I'm going to go through is important, so I'm going to go in and continue, but it will be available. So once again, there was sales strategy development, and that was something that I had not really gone into before. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go over that today. And so let's do that. I am a sales manager of a Notice how I'm giving it as much context as possible so that when I have it do anything, it's going to understand a lot about who I'm dealing with and what I want to talk about. I want for now normally I would go through and I would take our policies, put that into here, and then say this is what we're selling. But right now I'm just going to put it generally full coverage warranties. I'm gonna leave it at that and see what it comes up with. So again, as we define, actually, you know what I wanted to do? I'm gonna stop this. and I want to say I want to develop a sales strategy. And cold call script. Because that is something that we did. We did discuss. You see, I misspelled sales by sales, but it's still understood what I was talking about. So, sales strategy development, very key. As a manager, and maybe management has come to you and said, "Listen, we want to now sell a new product and a new market to a new audience. We got to figure this out." And understanding all of this, just beginning to develop that strategy, ChatGPT can give you those milestones and things that are important, and then you can fill them in individually. And so right now you see here, I said I want to develop a sales strategy and cold call script development. And so it's going to ask questions. Before we get into anything, it needs to know certain information about what we're working with, which is, of course, important for anything. If you don't know where you're going, anywhere to get you there. And so if you don't know who you're selling to, how are you going to sell to them? But what it does do is it begins to break it down so you can figure out those answers to those questions: who, what, how. And when you give it that information, it can then develop that strategy. But what it does is, by having you gather these different bits of information, it will then help you develop a strategy. Now, one thing I wanted to go over was he mentioned one called Orange Theory, a sales strategy process called Orange Theory. All right, so like I said, I heard about it. He said it to me. So here was it spin cycling? Spin selling? Maybe that's what it was. Well, there you go. So as he mentioned to me while I was driving. So I tried to write it down when I got home. And I believe maybe the spin selling is what he may have been talking about. There's consultative selling, which is a lot of what I do, solution selling, which is what I used to do, and then value-based selling. But like, let's say, tell me more about spin selling. Because that's something that I would like to learn more about, and let's see what it can tell me. And so this is one of those areas where, as a sales manager, department leader, if you are needing to implement some structure, maybe change your direction, or see how you're doing something if it's not doing right. One of the things I was talking about earlier was, if you want to implement something like a Six Sigma into your organization, but you didn't necessarily go through the training for it, or you're trying to figure out, you may know it, but now how would you implement that within your organization? Well, by having ChatGPT understand what you're trying to do, you can then say, all right, so here it asked me, I told it, tell me more about it. And then it said, how do you implement it? And so because I already told it I have a team and I'm a manager, here it's giving me activities that I can do to implement this into my team. So this can have an immediate impact, because say I hire my team, they can all just be doing things the way that they feel it should be done. And they may be getting mixed results, not the results that my management team is looking for. The stakeholders, they're saying, we want to get more out of these guys. So let's put some strategy in. Okay, well, now I can go from, I don't know what they're looking for, to, hold up, I'll be right back. Go research some, find out the pros and cons. Matter of fact, well, I won't go into the pros and cons because I have not input information about the company itself. But what I would do is I would input the information about, I'm going to say, our our sales company, what we're selling, and have it go into here and say, all right, look at these different strategies and put information about our customers, where we want to go, and then build that strategy. This example is just about showing how it can create a strategy, but the right process would be collecting all of that data and then processing it at that point. So you see here, implementing strategies and trying to get into new markets and having it understand one of the many things that a sales manager might need to know. Let's say here, how would I create a questionnaire? No, I won't go into how. I'm gonna say create one. A 5-question test for my sales team to see how they like to sell. This can be used in a lot of ways. One of them could be in HR. It could be about assessing who you already have right now. It could be when you're hiring. But what this does is you can take this idea and tweak it to get what you're looking for. And what I mean by that is, as you're looking to understand where you are, say with your sales team, they like making phone calls, they like having a conversation, whatever the case may be, I can tweak how I want this done a lot further. I can be very, 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 very specific down to the person. I can take their profiles. I can do all kinds of things. I can take their statistics. But to quickly generate this kind of a questionnaire that I can take, talking within 10 minutes, I can now decide that I want to assess my team, see if it matches with a new direction I want to go, and then how do I get them to come together? So identify new ways, new strategies, identify or do a core assessment, and develop a roadmap for getting from one place where you are today to where you want to be. All of this can be done with ChatGPT when used properly. So again, too much to go into, not going into it all right now, but those are some great examples. Now, our final example will be one of my favorites, and that is for a Chamber of Commerce. So right now I work with the West Valley Chamber of Commerce, and we're working on trying to uh, update their offerings and add new value to their existing clients while attracting new customers in. A lot of times, Chamber of Commerce can only attract certain kinds of companies, but they're a business. It's not, most people kind of think of Chambers of Commerce as like a city service or city business, but they're privately owned and they're not all operated the same. There is no one way to do it. And so it could be doing things, and this I'm going to go into one of them here that I think is really important because I don't see this enough. And I know for a fact that if chambers were to kind of adopt this kind of approach, they would attract many more people. And that is in a cultural event planning. So as you do, as a chamber may want to work, and we're going to do all the obvious stuff. You got your Christmas, and you have, say, your 4th of July, and you have your President's Day. But if you are in an area and you have a certain demographic in your area, you might want to incorporate, say, Jewish activities, or for Hanukkah. You might want to look into, there's the Chinese New Year. There's various New Years for different cultures. And so when you may not already know what that is, but when you can look at ways to encourage engagement, you can say, you know what, I don't know how to support this audience, but they're here. So let's just say, oh, not you. Let's say we are the So what I'm going to do right now, as you can see as I'm typing, I'm going through the thought process right now. I got to give a context again. These are things that would already be set in one of our clients' ChatGPT profiles. But what you would want to do is you say, I want to brainstorm 25 ideas that could bring the community out, and our businesses can connect with. Let's just see what it gives me. But what this does is, again, when you don't already have these insights or ideas or answers already, as a chamber, specifically when you serve your community, by putting this kind of information, like I say Canoga Park, because that is where this particular one is at, I could put even more information like a census information. What I was going to do right now was upload the listing of the chamber members so that I can then also, matter of fact, I think I'm going to do that. What that will do then is allow for the, let's see here. Allow it to, is this the one, chamber list? Yes. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have her revisit it. Right, okay. First of all, you see the list is really cool there. See different things that are listed right here. But now, compared to the list of recommend exit. So now I'm going to get the document here. So this is the chamber, member of all the chambers I just added. And as you can see here, I'm now said take your ideas and can read the list of members, segment them, and then give me some ideas. So now take a look at this result as we get this back. This is going to take it a whole another level because now I'm actually giving it actual information versus just saying in general. So you see here. And again, this is a fantastic way for any business, but specifically for a chamber to take different data sets and get actionable information out of it. Very, 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 very important. Without this kind of data, you can waste a lot of money. You can sit still a lot because you don't know what to do. You do very few things, which is not going to really support your audience the way a chamber would like to be seen as being supportive of. Because if I'm a member of a chamber, I want to have as much of the community coming out from our potential business. This is a way for a chamber to now expand on what they do here. And by incorporating actual chamber list is being very specific here. So here we got a health and wellness fair, yoga in the park, because that's something that's very big, hospitality, professional services, a business expo, a real estate construction, home improvement workshops. That's a fantastic idea. Night festivals. We do have lots of clients or members who are in the health and wellness, consumer services, training. So again, taking that data of actually looking into the list and saying, what can be done with this list, not just in general. So this is very powerful. And so I'm going to show that, as I said, there's lots of things you can do. Another one that I was going to go into are networking events and how to throw them. Lots of ideas on how to get people to engage and just being clever ways. It could be like speed dating. It could be like what's the show there? Shark Tank. It could be lots of different ways to have events to get people to come out, and by using ChatGPT to explore those ideas and then actually plan those events can be incredibly powerful as well. So basically, as I was going over, ChatGPT, when used properly, can be just an incredible digital assistant. I often reference it to being like a genie that has unlimited wishes, is super intelligent and never gets tired, and will do whatever, almost anything you want if you ask properly. Um, it's a kind of it's boundless by what it can do. It's all about what you ask of it and how you approach it. Mindset. When you come at it with the mindset of this is a tool that's extremely powerful, and when I engage with that tool properly, it can give me a 10x return on my investment, then you will see that it can change any business, even your personal life, but any business. I say 10x, I think it even more. Um, when you, by mastery through precise commands, that is all about prompting and asking very specific questions and giving it the context and then giving it the outcome. I didn't go into it too much because creating the right prompt can take a little time in the sense of, a couple of minutes to really understand what's required and to get what you want out of it. There's nothing like saying, hey, give me a new resume. No, you want to say, here's my old resume. I want this resume to now, I want to revisit the resume. I'm now applying for these types of jobs. I'm looking to get this type of compensation. And here are some jobs I'm actually applying for. So make sure that my resume matches these types of jobs. And whether it be cover letter, wording, what you include, what you remove, those are the kind of things that it can do. Again, it's all about speaking properly to it. And it's, like I said, it can become your partner. It can help you get so much done. It can help you understand. I didn't even get into the content creation too deep. Sure, I showed how I can create policies and procedures, how I can create questionnaires. And those kind of questionnaires can be done in almost any business. It could be done on a LinkedIn post. Hey, audience, what do you think of this? You can say, for your clients who are doing something specifically now with your cybersecurity, I would ask questions to test if somebody would open up an email or what they would do under certain situations. As I was talking about Manu earlier, you can say, you can take a picture of an area and say, I need to create activities for kids 6 to 10 that will allow them to get dirty and a minimal chance of hurting themselves. And bam, it can take this and start making ideas and then start creating games. And it can start creating the rules for those games. It can come up with new games. It can reference existing games. It can say activities, how to do those activities step by step. You can put it for the 6-year-old, for the 8-year-old. It has the ability to produce so much when you think about using it differently. It is a tool. It sucks by itself and it will not replace any of your jobs. It will only make you stronger and more efficient and more capable. So I want to thank everybody for sticking around. I know I went over time today. The information was important. You can always review this later and fast forward to different sections that are relevant to you. I will have a transcript available and send it out to everybody. My name is Michael Bowers. If you didn't already figure that out, I do appreciate everybody for sticking around. As I mentioned, you can reach me at all the information here. Please scan to do some feedback if you can. I can appreciate that feedback. I need that feedback. That's how I'm able to improve. I also see there you can schedule a consultation with me if you have any questions about what I went over, how to do, does this apply? A lot of times when our clients are asking, well, we do this and I want to know how we can make that work for our business. Or sometimes it's even their competition is doing it, or they want to do it for the competition. Whatever the case, you see the QR code there, scan that. You can book a 30-minute appointment in my calendar. It's no cost. and I can help answer your questions and walk you through it. Once again, I do appreciate everybody for sticking around. Those of you who stuck around, those of you who are going to be watching this on the replay, doesn't matter. It's all good. The information is there. It does not have to be all consumed at once. Not everything is for everybody. So I thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'm Michael Bowers, and I'm signing off. Bye-bye.